What's up, basement dwellers? Welcome to another Jersey Phanatics. I'm your host, Chris the Dace Man, and I'm joined by the other Phanatics, Mr. Erik Barezzo.
Hello.
And Mr. Tyler Freed.
Hi, Dad.
On today's episode, we're going to do what's called a Phanatics Phocus, where we take a look at one of the former Philadelphia Phillies, take a look at his career, both here in Philadelphia and wherever they may have ended up along their journey. And today's episode will follow a man that was born in Pasadena, California, Mr. Chase Utley.
One of my fucking man. Yeah, one of my favorite players. One of them.
So a little tidbit about your host here, Chris the Dace Man. Dace, he was kind of popular around the time that I was starting to get into baseball, and I called him the Pretzel Guy. So that was back when I didn't really follow baseball, and I liked him because his name sounded like Utz Pretzels. Anyway, we're going to talk about his career. He's up for a Hall of Fame bid this year, his first time on the ballot, and we'll start with that conversation. Try to put aside that we're all from the Philadelphia region, but does Chase Utley deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. Chase Utley deserves whatever the hell that man wants. He's called the man for the fucking reason. All right. No, legitimately, I feel like his stats hold up. I mean, during his playing time, especially with Philadelphia, like he was the top second baseman. Like he is one of the best second basemen to play the game. Like his stats defend that fact that he is one of the best second basemen to do it. I mean, you know, like if he played other positions, maybe a little bit different. But as a second baseman and what he did defensively, offensively, I mean, that man was hit by a baseball so many fucking times. I feel like that alone should put him in the Hall of Fame.
Right. He's got a role named after him, too. So,
yeah, I definitely think he belongs in there. I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but
not first ballot. Not first ballot.
Yeah, his stats are definitely on par with the second basemen that are in the Hall of Fame. I think his last year that he played in the league was kind of like obviously it's your last year in the league, but it was really rough the year that he had. But he was called up in 2003. Like him, Ryan Howard, and Jimmy Rollins were all teammates, and that was your core, and Cole Hamels, and it was just phenomenal. And I think he would have won the MVP in 2007, but obviously it went to Jimmy Rollins. So, but he had a 332 average, and that's pretty goddamn good for 132 games. So he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but with what he did in his career, especially for the Phillies, it was just he was the leader that they needed, but he was like the silent leader because he never talked. His press conferences were always boring and really you didn't get anything out of it. It was the complete opposite of what Castellanos is. Like Castellanos is the lively one, and like his press conferences are short, but they're funny and joking. Chase was the complete opposite of short and just dull. You're not getting anything.
Chase's best moments came when he didn't realize he was on camera. Like when they booed him at the All-Star game and he went, boo, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously the 2008 World Series, like that's not even like just anything that guy wants, he can have in Philly. And he's the baseball representative over in London, which is pretty cool. But
and he's been on 3 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Man, is a legend.
He can do no wrong in my eyes. I was kind of bummed when we got rid of him, and it kind of like his last year he was here. It was kind of like his knees were allegedly bad, and then all of a sudden he goes over to the Dodgers and starts playing more games, and he started turning it around again. So it was kind of weird, but I was very disappointed when we traded him. Kind of needed to happen though, obviously, because we sucked. But it was just rough getting rid of all of them around the same time. But I loved him. I can't say anything wrong about Chase. He's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Well, Mr. Utley has an MLB career batting average of 275. He's got 259 home runs batted in, as well as 1,025 runs in total batted in. He played for the Philadelphia Phillies from 2003 to 2015, where he was then traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers and played till 2018. He's a six-time All-Star, a World Series champion 2008, and a four-time Silver Slugger Award winner from 2006 to 2009. Mr. Utley made his debut April 4th, 2003, as a pinch hitter against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's not a good outing for that first at-bat. Struck out swinging. But we know he would go on to be a Philly favorite.
Yeah.
His first major league hit, home run, baby.
That it was. It was a grand slam, wasn't it? Or no? His first major league start. Oh, and his first start on April 24th against the Colorado Rockies. Utley recorded his first major league hit, which was a grand slam off of Aaron Cook. And then he was optioned back to the minors 6 days later.
Oh, Jesus.
I forgot how good of a 2005 and 2006 season that he actually had. Because, everyone tuned in 07 through 2012. But he actually, in 2005, he had 13 MVP votes, which outside of 2008, that was the most he ever received.
In 2005, he hit for 291 batting average with 28 homers and 105 RBIs with 16 stolen bases.
So he had more MVP votes than the year 2007?
Yes.
Wow.
And his stats were even better. Because in 2007, he only had 22 home runs and 103 RBIs and 9 stolen bases. But looking at his walks, man, that man walked a hell of a lot, especially in that time frame.
His RBIs were insane during that time frame too. Wow, just look at it too. But it just him and Howard together were must-watch TV, and especially those 4 years, 5 years, it was just absolutely phenomenal. Loved every second of it.
Well, I think him and another Hall of Famer, or at least a ballot nominee, Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley, are the second most played pairing at shortstop and second base. So the longevity of that team, of that core infield, is crazy because it took basically trading Placido Polanco to the Tigers to make room for Utley to come up, which ironically Polanco will be back to play third later on.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I don't see Jimmy ever making it to the Hall. Just the shortstops, there's just way too good of numbers.
It's hard to say that Jimmy wouldn't. I mean, he won an MVP. I don't know. I feel like if you won an MVP, not to say that gets you directly into the Hall of Fame, but I mean that alone should give you a pretty high standing. And I mean, that's digressing. We could talk about Jimmy and his own, but it was really fun within that time period from 06 to basically 2012-ish. Because we've talked in a previous podcast about how, we want Topper to have a consistent lineup. I mean, man, when you walked in, you knew what the lineup was. You knew Jimmy was 1. You knew Victorino, insert fast guy, was 2. And then it was Utley and Howard. And you just knew that, Utley was 3, Howard was 4, no matter what. I mean, because even Jimmy Rollins was kind of pushed around the lineup a little bit. But Utley, Howard, always 3 and 4, because that was just your prototypical lineup at the time frame. You had your number 3 guy who could, he could hit home runs, he could hit, get people in. He knew how to take the walk too, and it's surprising how many hit by pitches that man took in his career. Just for the simple fact is he hit in front of Ryan Howard 90% of that career. So why would you even want to pitch in on Chase Utley and have the potential of him being on base?
Yeah, he did everything that you wanted in a baseball player. I said his interviews were dull, but he would go out there and he would make these amazing plays at second base, and you wouldn't even believe that a second baseman or any player could even get to. The double plays that he would turn with Jimmy Rollins and Howard were phenomenal. Just everything that you wanted in a baseball player was him. He carried himself so well. You know, he didn't do anything off the field that was like, holy shit, this guy's a scumbag or
Mhm.
like anything like that. Like he did everything that you wanted, and he was the kind of player that like now I have kids and I'm like, hey, look up to this person. It's like Bryce Harper now.
He
Look up to him.
he was the player I modeled playing baseball after. Like I always wanted to be a second baseman. Being left-handed definitely took that out of my hands. But I wanted to be Chase Utley when growing up. Like I wanted to play second. I wanted to just be that lefty, hard, rugged, like hard nosed, rugged baseball player that just went in, got dirty, did all the little things to make the bigger plays. I mean, my absolute favorite moment is when he was a Dodger and he still held on to the fact that he was a Philadelphia Philly for so long and absolutely blew up the Mets shortstop. Blew him up, and I love it. My favorite play by him ever.
So he had a hell of a 2006 year. He ended up batting 309 average with 32 home runs and 102 RBIs. He also received a Silver Slugger Award for being the best hitting second baseman in the National League. And he had a 35 game hitting streak, which is the second longest streak in Phillies history behind teammate Jimmy Rollins, who went for 38 in 2005, 2006. Years just kept going. He kept getting better. And in 2007, he signed a 7-year, $85 million contract extension with the Phillies, which in this day and age is a fucking steal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So after starting the season hot, Utley was again selected by the fans to be a second baseman in the 2007 All-Star game. So I forgot to mention that in 2006, he was also an All-Star. He finished the season with a 332 batting average, 22 home runs, 103 RBIs, and 48 doubles, which was second in the National League. He also earned another Silver Slugger Award for a second consecutive season. And he had 2 hits in 11 at-bats at the Phillies were swept in the 3-game Colorado 2007 National League Division Series. So that was, a rough ending to that, but we know what was coming the year after. So the early years, 2005, 2007, Mr. Utley making a case to be a long-term piece in the Phillies organization. Erik and I were just wrapping up high school. I think Tyler was in kindergarten. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, it wasn't quite that young, but
Yeah.
I was in middle school.
It's funny though because 2006, the year that we graduated, was his most games that he played,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty insane. But that was kind of like why his knees were bad, is that he tried to go out for every single possible game, and he was like killing himself on the field in order to make these plays, diving every which way, and like Tyler said, getting hit nonstop everywhere. Like it was just what you knew you were getting from the player Chase Utley every time he came up to bat or in the field. He was going to give it his all.
And for me, at least 2007 is when, like, after we got out of high school, is basically when I started paying somewhat attention to baseball, or basically could afford to take myself to baseball games. And he was definitely the player that stuck out for me. I know a lot of people are big fans of Jimmy Rollins or Ryan Howard. For whatever reason, Utley was the guy who stuck out for me until I saw Worth and his hair, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was the. I remember that 2007 year because that's when Jimmy Rollins was like talking so much shit too about the Mets. And it was just, that was just where, like you said, like I started going to games more because I could drive myself and I had a job, so I could actually go to more games and do this. And I was like, tickets were like $10 back then. They were nothing. They were dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And it
You'd
was,
go with a soda can or some kind of like gas station price thing.
yeah, it was like Six Flags, buy one get one free. Like it was awesome.
Back in
And
my day.
yeah, exactly. But everything you want, like I keep saying, everything you wanted from a baseball player was him. He was exactly what you wanted to be and to see on the field. Like you knew what was coming, and you had really no qualms about him. Like everyone was always talking shit about Howard because of what he did, but nobody really complained about Utley because he was doing what he was supposed to be doing.
See, now that '06, the '06 to '07, like those 2 seasons, to me in my memory bank, those are like that's when baseball became more of like a passion for me rather than just like I watch it. Like that's when I really kind of started clicking in, tuning in, watching games basically every night, and whenever I could, and having being able to tune into your local team and having Chase Utley be one of the guys that is just kind of like shaping the game for you. It was awesome. Like I was definitely a very lucky fan to be able to see that with him, and then especially considering those were his best seasons, was even better for me. I mean, if you had to give Chase Utley one I guess flaw, it did end up being his consistency and being available. After what I think it was 2011, that's when he was very in and out of the lineup all the time.
Well, even in 2008, he ended up after the postseason because 2008 is the big year for Philadelphia. He underwent hip surgery after winning the World Series. He had
Yeah,
an okay year, but not as good as the first three.
but
Yes.
even then, he still played 156 games, which is a lot. They probably held him out of. But I mean, I don't know. A down year, he still produced 65 RBIs, 16 home runs. Um, I mean, yeah, obviously a down year from what he was doing, but I feel like it was still a pretty good year.
I think his
Oh, for
worst
sure.
year is the year that we don't like to talk about, which was 2012. That's the year nobody wants to talk about. But
It's a
that's
rough year.
when, yeah, he only played 83 games and he had a 256 average. It was one of his worst besides 2015 at the Dodgers when he
Mhm.
when he batted 202. So nobody cares about the Dodgers though.
He did enough to go there.
Yeah.
So 2008, clearly the World Series win. Integral moment or integral piece of the 2008 team. That
He
would
had
eventually go ahead.
he had the most iconic moments of probably any World Series with that fake throw.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's the part, like it was the little IQ plays that he would make like that. I honestly don't think if we don't win that game if he doesn't get that out. I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
the
100%.
the Rays go on to win that game, and who knows what happens with the rest of that World Series.
No, and that was voted postseason moment of the year.
They still talk
By
about
fans.
that every single time. Well, I can't say every single time we make the playoffs because obviously the last 2 years are the only times that we made the playoffs in the decade. But every time that's one of the plays that was brought up is that play. So it's still amazing today.
I'm honestly surprised he never won a Gold Glove.
I
Yeah,
I am too.
I think it hurt him that he had Brandon Phillips playing second base in a lot of the years, who was amazing defensively. But I don't know. I still feel like he should have won a Gold Glove somewhere in that time frame.
In 2009, he went to second base for the National All-Star game again. He led the majors in hit by pitch with 24. And he also had a perfect stolen base percentage in 2009 with 23 steals, setting a record for most steals in a single season without being caught.
Did Trey Turner break that this year? Right?
Did he?
I believe he did actually for
Yeah.
Phillies.
I thought that he broke it this year.
I thought he had 20.
I don't know. I just remember them talking about it constantly that Trey Turner had the most stolen bases without being caught.
I think Trey Turner was working on a consistent one, like dating back to last year too, though.
Oh, he
Okay.
did. He ended the season with 30 stolen bases without being caught, an achievement that set a new record, passing Chase Utley. All right, well, somebody
Boom.
didn't update their Wikipedia page for Chase Utley. Dickheads. Can update
Sorry, Chase.
bullshit for like Christian Cage being Nick Wayne's father, which is a fictitious. You can't do that, huh? So 2009 is the infamous year where we go back to the World Series, and we're hoping for that infamous repeat, but ultimately come up short against the New York Yankees.
That's play with Cliff Lee catching the ball. I replay it every single day in my head. I don't know why, but I see it every day.
Chase Utley brought me into the sport. Cliff Lee kept me in the sport. I love that man.
Yeah, and it's a shame that they don't really have a relationship with him anymore in any aspect at all. Like Cliff hated it here, allegedly.
Sucks. In December, Sports Illustrated, December 2009, named Utley the second baseman on its MLB All-Decade team, which is interesting because I assume Jeter would have been in that conversation, right?
He's the shortstop.
Oh, never mind. See, that's so much I know about the Yankees. Don't care about them. 2010 starts beginning like the downside for him in the Phillies, where he was placed on the 15-day disabled list with a sprained thumb. He was also voted back into the All-Star game for second base, but he was unable to play due to the injury. He won a Fielding Bible Award.
Is that like, hey, you were good, but I can't give you the Gold Glove, so here's a Fielding Bible.
The middle of the country loved him. I don't remember too much about him in the 2010 season, and that's one of the seasons where I probably started going to way more games and like started the streak of not missing an opening day until a pandemic hit.
Well, he only played in 115, so that's a good chunk of the season that he had to miss.
So not a big 2010 to write home about. 2011, he finished the 2011 regular season scoring 54 runs, hitting safely 103 times with 21 doubles, 6 triples, and 11 home runs, and a batting average of 259.
God, man, like every year, all his numbers drop from 2006. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's also when it's the chronic knee problems started coming into light.
Yeah,
you also have to think, the need for him to be that 300 hitter and doing all that drastically changed from 2006 and 2007, because that's when Ryan Howard came up, and that's when Jimmy Rollins decided to take off and start doing more with the team. So I mean, yeah, his numbers dropped off, but I feel like he was doing a lot more of the like the little shit that he needed to push Jimmy Rollins over. So he was getting more, like, a sack fly, which doesn't really show up in the book at all if he's just moving him over. So that way Ryan Howard could drive him in. I feel like he kind of grew into that role a lot more within those years.
Very clutch player, which
like,
at least with the current team, I don't think we have too many of those. Maybe just Bryce.
Yeah, just Bryce. 100%. You know that when he's up,
Bryson Stott.
Yeah,
Bryson Stott.
Yeah,
he could be. He was. I'll give him credit in 2023. He was the clutch guy while Bryce was gone. Back into the season.
He's still. I mean, he won the game in Milwaukee, was it? No, Atlanta. The game that towards the end of the season where Nick Castellano threw someone out at home after catching the foul ball. Bryson Stott, he had I think a 9 to 11 pitch at bat, and then just dribbled it down the third baseline, because that's what he does so well. And that's why I call him the new age Chase Utley, because that's shit that Chase Utley used to do.
That's fair. Yeah. And I think Bryson is going to be that player, or that our Chase of this generation.
Yeah, it's definitely a shame to see where Chase was heading with his injuries that were coming. Like
you also got to think he was. I mean, as a baseball player, when you get over that year, 31, or once you're 31, 32, that's usually, at least as a hitter, when you start to decline a little bit.
I think that was the year of the salt and pepper beard too. Like that started coming in. 2012.
Nope. Let's move on.
All right. It was very similar to 2011. He hit 256 with 11 home runs, 45 RBIs.
But that was only in 83 games too.
Yeah.
It was rough.
2013, Utley said his knee was feeling great prior to the Grapefruit games. And he hit his 200th home run on opening day against the Braves. So in 131 games of the 2013 season, he batted 284 with 18 home runs and 69 giggity runs batted in. He also agreed to a 2-year extension for $27 million in August of that year that would carry him through till 2015.
So nobody got on base for him. He had with the only 69 RBIs.
Well, 2013 was the year we missed playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like started doing the
Yeah.
That was the
dark times.
drought.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the decade.
Oh, that's rough. 2014, he had a very slow start of spring training with only batting 175, including 1 double and 3 RBIs. So, yeah, the beginning of the end for Mr. Utley started.
I mean, you said what? This is 2014 you were
Yep.
on now? I mean, he got an all-star that year.
Mhm.
His RBIs were up to 78. I mean, his home runs took a tick down, but he actually had a pretty decent year in 2014.
That was hold on. Wasn't that the year that everyone had to get an all-star player?
I mean, every year is.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we may not have had better candidates on the team at the time, but he still had a good year.
Well, despite the poor spring training, he ended up starting the season as the hottest hitter in baseball and had an OPS of 1.314 in the first couple weeks. And then 2015, the final year as a Philly. Or are you still looking at 2014 stuff?
No, you're good. But
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
2015, in 249 bats for the Phillies, he batted 217. And then ultimately was traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers on August 19th, ending his run in Philadelphia.
That was such a sad day. Like, I could probably mark the number of times I've cried over sports, and I cried that day.
That's fair.
But 2015 was also the year that Ryan Sandberg quit on, remember?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I forgot he was a manager, to be honest.
Yeah.
So did the rest of Philadelphia.
Yeah, because everyone was so excited for him to. I gotta get off this page. My internet is going. Whatever page I'm on is screwing up everything. I exit
That's
out.
the porn.
All of a
Yeah,
sudden,
I
it
was
says
gonna
your
say.
internet is. Yeah. All of a sudden, it said my internet is not sustainable. But yeah, that year was just absolutely brutal. He played 73 games, but that was when Ryan Sandberg, like everyone was so excited that we hired him, and he was so good for the Cubs as a player and everything. And we're like, oh, this guy's gonna be the truth for us. Like he knows baseball, and he's like the same kind of attitude and everything like that as Chase Utley. So this is gonna go great. And then he fucking quit on us. It's like literally just left the team high and dry. And then we got Pete McCannon as the manager, and that was fucking awful. And it was
The
just
really dark times.
yeah, just every single thing you could possibly think that could go wrong in a year was that year.
Like trading Chase Utley to the fucking Los Angeles Dodgers.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was also because of I can't even think of his freaking name as the GM, but he was he was just everything was bad. Just he didn't know baseball, and he fucked the team. And I'm so happy that he's no longer here, and so happy that he's no longer a part of any baseball organization. Except he was rumored to get hired by the Rays. And that never happened. But yeah, 2015 was just awful in general. And I was looking at the roster and I didn't remember.
We're
half
talking
the
about Chase
people.
Utley. Who cares about
I
that?
know.
All
Well,
right?
when he went over to the Dodgers, it wasn't like he was lighting the world on fire that final year. He was the final out of a no-hitter for Jake Arrieta, who would eventually be a Philly. And as a Dodger, he was in 34 games, hitting .202 with 3 homers and 9 RBIs at 124 bats. He also played 3 games at third base when he was with the Dodgers.
Well, so that was actually, I believe, we were working on having him switch over to third base within, I think, the 2014-2015 season, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2015, I believe he did play third base for us at some point. I did want to add one tidbit about when he got traded. It was actually kind of cool that I guess it was Ruben Amaro still. I don't even know who was in charge of the team at the time. But they actually worked it with Chase Utley. Like they made sure he went to a destination that he wanted to go to. And they didn't just go, hey, we're going to just send you wherever the fuck we want.
Have fun in Oakland.
Yeah.
So this also is the year that during the National League Division Series, Utley slid into Tejada of the New York Mets.
Fuck that motherfucker up.
And fractured his right fibula. And I believe this became the Utley rule, did it not?
Yeah. I mean, essentially. Essentially, that's why you can't slide into no one anymore. Fucking such a shame that they ruined the game like that just because Chase Utley decides to play the game hard as fuck.
So he would remain with the Dodgers after that, but in 2016, the Dodgers declined his option, which would make him a free agent, but then re-signed him on a 1-year, $7 million contract.
Motherfucker almost came back to Philly in that time frame, by the way. I was sad.
I don't know why we didn't make it happen, but he had a solo home run and a grand slam after he was thrown at by Mets pitcher Noah Syndergaard. So
yeah, a lot of these players' names.
He fucking hates the Mets for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I wish he was on the team when Reese had that. When we had all that bullshit with Reese, and Reese hit that fucking home run and just like stumbled his way around the bases. I wish Chase Utley would have been like fucking in the dugout, just losing his mind.
Thank you, son.
So, yeah, you're right about Amaro still being the GM too. He ended up getting in May 2014. They ranked Amaro as the worst general manager in Major League Baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
Noting all of his signing aging veterans who failed to perform. And he was eventually let go by the Phillies on September 10th, 2015.
To go first base coach at the Mets or whatever?
Red
eventually ended up at the
Red
Mets.
Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 2018 season where Mets had him as the first base coach.
And now he's the annoying color commentary to Tom McCarthy every time Kruk doesn't want to do it. Damn shame. Utley would go on and finish his career in Los Angeles, signing a 1-year deal for $2 million in 2017, where he recorded his 1,000th RBI, and then his 400th career double. And in 2007, he batted .236 with 309 at bats, with 8 home runs, 34 RBIs, and 127 games played. 2018, he would re-sign with the Dodgers on a 2-year deal for $2 million. And that was pretty much it, because by July 13th of that year, he announced his intention to retire after the conclusion of the 2018 season. And his final MLB game was on September 30th, 2018, where at San Francisco he struck out against Steven Okert in the only at-bat. He was left off the postseason roster, but continued to travel with them up till the 2018 World Series, where the Dodgers lost. So the shining light of this is he never won a World Series with the Dodgers. So,
which I mean, like, if anyone was going to win a World Series, Dodgers. I wish it was Chase Utley, but I mean, I'm just glad the Dodgers didn't win because fuck the Dodgers as well.
Yeah.
Did Ruiz win a championship with the Dodgers, or was that the same year that he was on with Chase Utley? Was that 2018 too?
No, I don't believe he won one with the Dodgers. I think he retired before then.
Okay.
I do gotta say, we've gone this long and we haven't even talked about how iconic Chase Utley's walk-up song is.
Cashmere by Led Zeppelin.
Yes,
One of
like
my favorites.
it's one of those walk-up songs that you hear the song, and I don't even like. I just feel like you hear the song and you go, "Oh, Chase Utley!" Like
Yeah.
it's an instant connection to player to song, and it's like I don't know, man. Like even when I heard the song when we played it when he came back with the Dodgers, like it just gave me the fucking chills because it's just so iconic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird that our other second baseman has an iconic.
And I'm telling you, he is the Chase Utley's like second coming.
It's insane. Like when we did the Christmas parade, they were playing Bryson Stott's, but they also played Chase Utley's walk up song, which is weird that they just randomly picked Chase Utley's. But yeah, it was that, and then
Nothing random about it.
yeah, and it was that and the Dancing on My Own. They played those three songs plus Christmas music just on repeat the whole time.
That
It was a long.
sounds amazing.
It was a long parade.
I think I could listen to Cashmere on repeat all day.
Yeah, and the
Well-
P Diddy version that was in Godzilla.
That was fine until they started playing the new players, and you're like, "Fuck, man, this year sucked."
Well, that's going to do it for us here on our career retrospective, or the Phanatics Phocus of Chase Utley.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer indeed. I'm looking forward to the Wall of Fame when they put him on and do the whole big dog
Oh my
pony show for
God.
him in Philly.
I cannot wait. Like
Do
that.
Do you think they're gonna do everyone though, or are they gonna just pick Chase Utley only? Like, what are you gonna do about those four?
I don't
Him,
know. I
Jimmy,
guess we'll have to find out on the rest of them's.
and
their
their
Phillies-
retrospectives.
Yeah, the Fanatic retrospective.
I think Chase gets his own plaque. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. And he
Wait,
gets his own Wall of Fame plaque.
That was the question.
No,
Like if they get it together.
no, are they all gonna get a Wall of Fame, like their own plaque,
Mm-hmm.
but all gonna get like retired that same year or whatever?
Mm.
Like
That's a good 10 years you could spread out there.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we were just getting a Scott rolling, so like obviously we got some time here.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, I respect the 80s teams, but like, all right, come on. Let's get some of those 08 guys up there without having them die in a plane crash.
Choo choo.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us here on the Jersey Phanatics in our Phanatics Phocus of Chase Utley. I've been Chris the Dace Man Dace. He's been Tyler Freed.
Peace out, dog.
He's been Erik Perezzo.
Bye.
And remember, basement dwellers, stick to the protocol. We'll see you next time on the Jersey Phanatics.